Yes, it's an important year, as you said, 65 years, because we recognize the independence of Tanganyika actually on the 8th of December 1961, and then on the 9th of December there was a second communication confirming that Italy wanted to establish full diplomatic relations with the new independent country. So we've been among the first countries actually to recognize Tanganyika's independence, so therefore Tanzania's independence. I think that through these important 65 years, we've been really building a partnership of friendship, and I think also mutual trust. Italy has always been actually working with Tanzania for the mutual interests of our two people in many different sectors. So I think that it's been really a partnership of friendship and a strong collaboration in many sectors, and at the institutional level, but also a very strong people-to-people connection. So the Italian people working with the Tanzanian people in many different sectors, and of course we have the institutional dimension, which is crucial for the diplomatic relations, of course.
Okay, and among these sectors now of collaboration, we are talking about over 6 decades of strong ties between these two nations. When it comes to these sectors, of which sectors are Tanzania and Italy collaborating in?
Since the beginning, actually, Italy has been supporting the industrialization process of Tanzania. Agip, the Italian oil company, energy company, built the first refinery in Tanzania, Tiper, here in Dar es Salaam, and I understand the first and only refinery in Tanzania. We also built, that was in the mid of the 60s, we also built the Tazama, which is the Tanzanian-Zambia oil pipeline, and also still with Agip and Eni. And Eni, Agip also built a lot of oil structures to provide and stations throughout the country, so a whole network. So that was an important instrument to foster the modernization and the industrialization of the country at the beginning of the independence. So I'm talking about mid-1960s. We had actually a framework, which was a bilateral agreement on financial and technical cooperation that was signed in 65. Last year we marked 60 years of this bilateral agreement. It was the first bilateral agreement between Italy and Tanzania, signed here at the beginning of August 1965. We also supported the modernization of agriculture in Tanzania very strongly. The first agriculture machines and machinery to work in the fields, but also to process agricultural products and crops, for example, in cashew nuts, were actually imported from Italy. So we've been really sharing state-of-the-art technology, this throughout the years and throughout the decades. Another aspect I would mention, there's been a strong collaboration in the health sector. Both through the Italian Development Cooperation Agency, especially since the 70s and 80s, until now actually, but also through a lot of Italian civil society organizations that have been working, funded by the Italian corporation or other donors, other sponsors, in the health sector. So I think that's been very important. But then I think in many other sectors we have a lot of really landmark collaborations. For example, at the beginning of the 90s, so that's 30 years after the independence, Italy really invested a lot and believed in Zanzibar as a top global tourism destination. And actually, we contributed to discovering and to launching Zanzibar as a tourist destination. So that was in the early 90s. So we were the first to invest there. And actually, we were the first to go also visit Zanzibar as a tourist destination. And that's been like that since in the last, well, we're talking about over 35 years now.
Yes.
And then, of course, there's been a lot of important institutional collaboration initiatives. One of the most important, I think, I would mention through these 65 years is the Mattei Plan. That the Italian government launched in 2024, and last year, so after a few months after the launch of the plan, Tanzania has been chosen as a focus countries in the list of focus countries for the plan, and that implies that we're working on strategic projects for the mutual benefit of our two countries. Of course, strongly based. These initiatives are strongly based on the needs and on the strategic assessment from the Tanzanian side, but also in a complementary way on aspects and sectors in which we can really add value. I would just mention two.
Yes.
One is the SGR. Italy contributed also to the construction, to financing of the first lots of the SGR, lots 1 and 2, with our export credit agency. So that's between Dar es Salaam, Morogoro, and Dodoma.
Yes.
But at the end of April, I took part in the signing ceremony for the financing of lots 3 and 4, which is from Dodoma to Tabora, and then from Tabora to Isaka of the SGR, together with our European partners, in particular the Swedish Export Credit Agency and the Polish Export Credit Agency. So it's a European Union partnership supporting the construction of strategic infrastructures for Tanzania. So that's yet another demonstration of our close partnership and relationship.
Okay, with so many areas of collaboration, as you have mentioned, we also have the youth. Are there opportunities or any projects that involve the youth?
The European Union?
Yes.
Yes, we are. We work closely with the European Union. Of course, the Global Gateway, more recently,
Yes.
so in the last years, is a very important instrument, and absolutely the Matei plan is actually complementary to the Global Gateway. So we try and facilitate as much as possible synergies with the European Union initiatives. Of course, the European Union initiatives have their own process and procedures, and we just contribute to them financially as a member state, and also in the decision making in the appropriate frameworks in Brussels. But there is a close coordination, of course, in terms of synergies. And actually, I was mentioning before some of the Italian civil society organizations. Yes. They actually sometimes, quite often, implement projects that are funded by the European Union. So, of course, the European family is a crucial element for Italy as a founding state, actually, of the European community in the 50s. And we work always closely with them.
Now, Ambassador, young people are one of the most integral parts of of our society here in Tanzania. Are there any trainings, exchange programs, or opportunities that are in line with the Tanzania-Italy ties that are there to help the young people?
Yes, we have a few instruments. We have scholarships for Tanzanian students, for university students. Actually, we've been right in these days we're finalizing the procedures to assign the scholarships for next academic year. So from 2026, 2027, and it starts in Italy. It starts between September and October. So we're just finalizing the process now. We launched last year in Dodoma with the Ministry of Education a very ambitious vocational training program, supporting technical colleges in Dar es Salaam, Arusha, Zanzibar, and also Mbeya. I actually recently visited the Mbeya University of Science and Technology, which is one of the partners of this. It's a 20 million euro soft loan vocational training initiative. So the objective there is to strengthen the capacities of the colleges, but of course, indirectly or directly, actually, strengthen the capacities and the skills of the young girls and boys studying in these technical colleges, so that they can be more fit and they can be more competitive for when they will have to look for a job. So the access to the market with stronger competences. But there are also other initiatives. Actually, we're working now with the Italian cooperation with AICS, which is the agency for the Italian Development Cooperation, who is very active in Tanzania on new initiatives in the academic sector. So it's hopefully an initiative supporting some Tanzanian universities in close coordination with several Italian universities. But then after that, beyond that, there are a lot of Italian universities actually working with Tanzanian universities. And they do that independently because, of course, universities are free and independent, and they have a wide network of collaboration. And really, since I've been here now in 2 years in Tanzania, but very often we keep discover new initiatives of Italian universities working with Tanzania universities.